Reality.
UFOs.
Science.
Consciousness.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
That might not be a real thing. The podcast.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm the Candyman, hanging out with a very stoned Macka.
Yo, yo.
We smoked a joint of the rainbow cake that I just finished growing. And
Yeah, I'm a little...
Macka's a little out of sorts in terms of cognitive function, but he feels good.
I feel great. I think that one thing for our listeners is that if there's moments in time where I'm just not talking, it's because I've had some of Candyman's new stuff.
We're doing a disclosure.
Yeah. So now...
Is that what they call it?
I think so.
It's a disclosure?
It's like if you don't hear me for a little bit, it's because I'm just fucking locked in on
He's either got...
whatever these maniacs are saying.
Could be paralysis.
Yeah, it could be that.
Just brain paralysis.
Yeah.
Not brain and body.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for listening in, everybody. This show is 100% officially brought to you by NRG Tree. Check them out at nrgtree.com. There's some good programs going on. You saying a new warm-up announcement? Or?
Yeah, no, we were going to do... we're working on a new way to present our sponsor.
Okay.
So that will be coming out in the next few weeks. So we just want to present them in a better light.
Oh, I mean... in a better light, get it?
Yeah,
because it's like solar.
Yeah.
You're so clever right now. You don't think you could do a podcast? You're on fire right now. Get out of here. Your synapses are working, baby.
Firing at all synapses.
No, but I mean, I do believe obviously in I don't know the long term. People talk about the electrical cars and the solar energy panels and all this other stuff, and I'm like, okay. I'm down with it. I think it's good that we're exploring things other than combusting fossil fuels, right?
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I think it's great that we moved on from whale oil to fossil fuels, right?
Yeah,
and
probably.
Now that we've realized that this is dangerous, we should stop combusting these things all over the place. It's good that we're exploring solar because that energy is literally pouring down on us all the time.
Yeah.
I just don't know, where all the batteries and solar panels gets put eventually when, they're not good anymore. Are they recyclable? Are they break down? Are they biodegradable? I don't know the facts, so it's like, but you know what? It ain't easy being cheesy.
Yeah, nah.
And how that translates to this is just like, dude, it's not easy running shit and, civilization.
It's hard to change that direction when people who make money are powerful and then they're like, no, I don't want to change this, so I'm fucking
fuck it. Take the money out of the equation.
So that's what makes it hard to change things. It's like,
yeah, but I'm just saying, even if we weren't governed by a drive for financial money, right? People would eventually go out and build technology because it would be useful, and we just don't know. At the end of the day, going from living as an animal to flying to the moon, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. I don't know. It's a trial and error process, and it's a continuous learning process, and we just don't know yet what we don't know, right? That's all I'm saying. These batteries could be terrible for some other part of the environment.
It will. They will.
Because right now it's like, what percentage of people drive an electric car? 5% tops?
Right.
Right? Maybe
a little more now.
Maybe 7% or something. I wouldn't give it 10. Yeah. It's not 1 in 10. I mean,
we could find out. Yeah. Real quick.
Do other search engines still exist? Yahoo and Excite? Do these people around, or did Google just buy them and keep them out there?
No, they're still out.
To fake the illusion of not having a monopoly. I just want to know if that's a thing.
They and I think some are actually marketing as being better, that your data is secure.
All I'm saying is when every single
GoDaddy,
when every single combustible engine in the planet's replaced with some sort of power cell, eventually those power cells are going to add up and have to be stored or broken down or put somewhere. Right now we're most of the car materials, it's rubber, metal, some wiring, whatever, but the real pollution is going up into the air. We just don't see it. The batteries could be a different thing. Those fuckers could be, leaking shit into the ground that then kills like vital microorganisms that then like wipes out the flora and fauna on the earth. We don't know what we don't know. That's all I'm saying.
So it looks like 5.6 million people worldwide own electric vehicles. So less than.
But what's like the percentage of electric vehicles on the road compared to gas is, I guess, what I'm thinking.
Oh, probably.
That's what we were saying, 5%, whatever. While you're looking that up, I'm going to give a shout out. Second, I don't know if people have got more than one shout out per name on the show, but this is a second shout out. No, we don't have any rules.
Right.
Any fucking rules, mate. This is for Jenny Greathouse. Congratulations on eloping in Jamaica and what has been referred to as pulling a me, as in the Candyman. Okay. People are texting me like, Chris, Jenny pulled a you. And I'm like, in reference to what? Like, she married some dude from Jamaica that she doesn't even really know. And he's 26 and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, fuck it. Love is blind. And I was like, and I was like, what's the right thing to do? Should she all I'm saying is, for the naysayers out there, is that like, there's no fucking guarantees, man. Like, how many fucking people do we know that I'm talking, do we know a bunch of psychos that got married and divorced? And we're like, oh boy, we could have saw that one coming. Yeah. Sure. But there are plenty of people out there that were like reasonable, rational people that like did it the right way, like dated for 2 years, right, moved in for 2 years, and then got engaged for 2 years. I don't know what the time intervals are, but they like took their time, they picked their mate, they did all the right moves, and kaputski, it all went down to shit anyway.
Right.
You never know what the fuck's gonna happen out there. The future's uncertain. You got to live for now. And when you get to a certain age, you're like, yo, I really might not be around tomorrow. Like, so I'm gonna make myself happy. So shout out to Jenny Greathouse and her new hubby. Just don't do anything to my friend, buddy, or I'll fucking kill you.
Okay.
All right, fine.
We may have to edit that one out.
Just don't do anything to my friend, buddy, or I'll nunchuck you to smithereens.
Also a threat.
I don't care.
Just
don't ever hurt my friend. I won't ever nunchuck you. It's just a countermeasure, balance. Yeah. It's called checks and balances, and it's part of it's a critical part of our government system, Macka.
Yeah.
I saw some amazing things on the way in that caught my eye.
On the ride in.
Just walking in from my car to the studio. It was like a 30-second walk.
30-second walk.
Yeah, the first thing that caught my eye, and you'll appreciate this, as we were just discussing, I don't know what left and right means for the government, and you had to like detail it to me. So I'm walking in, and which is good because I don't think either side is really in control. I think it's just pharma and big fossil fuel companies and whatever. So whatever. But I'm walking in, and the bumper sticker on the car says "Vote for Democracy."
Yeah.
And I said, interesting bumper sticker. It suggests that people are voting for other things other than democracy, such as, let's say, communism, socialism, fascism, isms, some sort of mixture of isms.
Dictator.
And I get that. But let me ask you a question. How can you vote for anything if you're not already in a democracy? That's the question.
It's a good question.
So I guess what they're saying is vote for people who stoke the fire of democracy and keep it going.
Yeah.
But like, you're already in a democracy, motherfucker. You can't vote if you're not.
Right. Can you vote?
Democracy or otherwise.
Can you vote in communism? I think you can, right?
I don't know how it works.
Me neither.
It would make sense that in a governmental system designed for equality that voting would exist, right? You'd be like, oh yeah,
I think you can.
You should get a vote too, because we're all equal, and it's about the community,
right? I think you can, but I think what usually ends up happening is if the person in charge loses, they go, "Nah, I didn't lose."
So
that's always the trouble with a communist company.
Anything,
any
power.
It's
vacuum.
like the person managing it are corrupt. So that's the tough part.
There's nothing you can do about that.
I mean, in democracy, the person managing it is corrupt. So what are we going to do?
I don't know. I'm going to cover the song of the week real quick, and you're going to say, whoa, I wasn't expecting you to say that. And then you can introduce us to your musical genre. Is that what you're going to do?
I don't know.
Oh, well, you introduced me to it, and I appreciate it. Song of the week this week, curveball for everybody, and I'll explain myself afterwards. I shouldn't even have to, but it's "Wrecking Ball" by Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, that one.
And
it's a great song.
Okay, isn't it?
I won't take that away. It's a great song.
All right, so here's why it's song of the week for me. As you know, will take I literally will have a song of the week, but it's like a 10 to 20 day period where I just listen to a song on repeat while I'm working and doing my thing, right? Mm-hmm. So I will digest a song thoroughly, is all I'm trying to tell you. Wrecking Ball, Miley Cyrus is Dolly Parton's granddaughter, not granddaughter, but goddaughter. So she's in the equation somewhere in the background, right? And her old man was Billy Ray Cyrus.
Stevie, yes.
Billy Ray Cyrus, Achy Breaky Heart, right? Mm-hmm. Not a huge success, had 2 maybe songs, but
mega hits.
Was in the professional music business nonetheless.
Still is.
Exactly. Because he was the manager for Hannah Montana, who was the character that they branded for Miley Cyrus. Right? So what I'm saying is that this girl was raised and groomed to be put in this role to make these fancy little country whatever they thought that, was going to sell, basically, right? And when Wrecking Ball came out, first of all, it's a fucking visceral song. It's like, she's singing that thing.
The video.
She means it.
You ever seen the video?
I'm not ready for it yet.
Yeah.
I will take a sneak peek at it this week. Yeah. But videos can throw you off emotionally from a song, and I like to just let it be in my musical. Yeah. But I felt like that was Miley Cyrus showing the whole world that, hey, I'm not just Hannah Montana that was placed here by my, already rich godmom and my semi-famous dad. Like, this is me. I can do this. I have real talent, and fucking kiss it. And that was Wrecking Ball. Yeah. That's what I get from that song. And I was like, oh, God, it's fucking pure.
She is a great she's an actual artist. But at that moment in time, I think that she was playing the, she's like early 20s or whatever. And she was playing that sex object on purposely too much, maybe.
Hey,
and even she regrets it.
What are you going to do?
Like doing shows with
you got it,
huge blown up dildos. Oh. Too much.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, wild shit. And it took away from the art. And then in her latest stuff, she started going back to just being
I don't know what to tell you about that. That's a societal thing. Whether that's good or bad.
Go through your phase artistically.
Well, I mean, my parents visited Greece a couple years ago, and they have photos of, I've probably showed them to you, whatever, but there's photos of them standing next to 8 to 10 foot statues of dicks. Yeah. So, I mean, either that was just a leftover, place from a brothel, right? It's just it was so cool that no one ever wanted to remove it. Yeah. Or this was some sort of societal thing where they're like, we should put these big erect boners everywhere. It'll get subliminally, people will be thinking about sex and they'll be wanting to have it.
Reproduce to make more
I don't know. They felt strongly enough about it to make these things out of big giant stone, right? And put them all over the goddamn islands and stuff.
What did your mother think of that?
I mean, she's like, oh, that's real funny. There's a giant, I don't think when she sees something like that, I don't think she digests it or processes it the way I do. I don't just look at it and say, oh, wow, it's a giant stone penis. Oh, it's real funny. They made a giant stone penis, right? I'm looking at them okay, this is
why did they do that?
They had to. Someone was like, you know what? I think we should do this. Someone else was like, I approve. Let's do it. Yeah. Somebody or the guy in charge just did it and didn't need approval, but he still had to think about it and be like, I think we're gonna put some big stone penises all over the place. Yeah. And then they had to get giant materials and craft it out of marble and artists and all this. I mean, it's a work, to do it. It's not like they just did. Yeah. It wasn't a spray painting on the fucking wall. No.
There was probably one dude who did it, who was commissioned.
Who knows, man?
Do you think there was a factory of giant, for giant dicks?
I don't know all that. I just know that at a certain point in my own genetic people's society, although I view myself as a citizen of the entire universe of existence, not even just confined to this planet Earth. I'm just a conscious being floating around the cosmos.
Right.
That's my home. Yeah. That's where I live. Yeah. I'm confined to Earth currently. But
you live in the cosmos.
I exist in the cosmos. Yes. So
and I believe that.
That's how I think.
There are times where you are on a different planet than anyone else.
Well, yeah,
but you're here.
But I'm just saying that, like you got to think beyond. Like I can't see Japan right now, but it's out there.
But it's there.
So why confine myself to the planet of Earth? Like I can't physically leave here right now because there's like a million things that'll immediately kill you when you try to. Yeah. But thanks to our ingenious monkey brains, we are working on that. Right. Which leads me to my next thing. I sent you the text this week. Respect and enjoy the piece.
Yes, yeah.
Cleon the First, the empire of the science fiction foundation.
Yes.
By classic sci-fi writer Isaac Asimov. Mm-hmm. Now Apple TV show.
Apple TV show, yeah.
What a fucking... I didn't read the books, but I do know that name is like a...
Yeah, it's like a famous...
He's a pillar in the sci-fi writing community.
And Foundation was his...
When did he write that? Can we get the...
The first one came out very long time ago. Maybe possibly even the 40s.
Okay, so you're talking about like basically World War II generation people trying to figure out what the universe would look like if we were traveling in it and colonizing it and blah, blah, blah. So this show... There's
1951.
1951, motherfucker, okay? We hadn't even put a man on the moon yet. We were just launching basic satellites into orbit, and even that wasn't going great. The Russians beat us to it. Bonus point for them. Well, anyway, I'm watching the show because I can't read books like you. Mm-hmm. But you've read how many of these books?
I've read not even a full one.
How many are there?
I don't know. There's, I think, so the first one is... All I've read is the first one, and I haven't finished it because I read books like an idiot, which is I read some of it and then I start picking up another one. And
I was going to say, I feel like when you read a book, it's the opposite of idiocy, depending on what you've just read.
That's true, but like I guess like I tend to like read multiple books at the same time and never finish any of them.
Well, you can handle it, but that's a bold strategy for that particular book because I was going to ask you. Because I'm watching the show.
Right.
It's all over the goddamn place timeline-wise.
Yeah.
You're
right. That's why I watched the first two eps.
They're transitioning like bam, 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 bam.
I had no idea what was going on. Other than I understood the concept, so I'm like, oh, this is cool.
So you watched the first two episodes on the TV show, and you're like, this is too much, too fast. I have no idea what's going on.
I started reading the books, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to, because they have to make it TV.
Skimming over these chapters.
And the way the book is like, it's like 5 interrelated stories. So like the first...
Okay, I kind of feel like that's how it's going
and I think that's what's going on. So, but it's hard to tell that story.
I'm starting to get that impression, so I'm glad you said that.
So it'd be like, but it doesn't go back. That's the only thing. So in the book, it's like they tell the first part, then it fast forwards 30 years.
Yeah.
Then it fast forwards 30 years. So it keeps going down, but it all is like the foundation is that first part. So it's cool.
The show is great.
It's very easy to read. I don't know what happens after that in terms of the other books, but this one was very cool.
If you're a nerd and you want to put on your glasses and read some books, check them out. The show is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The acting. I wish I could read. The acting is
that
great.
Dude's awesome.
They got some hardcore people on the show for that.
Yeah.
I think. No, I'm thinking of the Lord of the Rings show, but the Lee Pace does a good job.
Yeah,
he plays Cleon during the day, and let's talk about that. This is some cool shit I've never seen. You've seen people have heard about cloning.
Yeah,
we've seen clone armies and like Star Wars and other things. There's other sci-fi shows where there's whole different societies of people that exist where there's like 6 or 7 clones. The Cylons on Battlestar Galactica is 12 of those fucking things. I mean, that's how many they made, but they're all essentially clones, right? This show does a really cool thing. And they do, the guy, the emperor of the show, they call him Empire. Not emperor, but empire, because it's like plural. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how the English language works.
Yes, this is a very cool.
So they've got this guy cloned over a 400-year period, but they've got him what I believe to be 30-year stretches apart, or they could be like 20-year stretches. It's tough to tell. I think they're 30 years because like the kid's like 10 at the beginning when he's so. All right, bottom line, the guy's name is Cleon. He's a king. He clones himself. After that, there's a progression of kings that rule in a triarchy. There's 3 of them. It's all the same dude, but he exists at simultaneously at 3 different points in his life.
Right.
So there's brother Day, who's the young Cleon. He's like baby to like age 10 or 20, basically. Yep. Then there's brother Day. He's like middle-aged Cleon in his prime. He's jacked. He's strong. He's also got experience and wisdom, right? And then there's brother Dusk, who's the like 65, 70-year-old Cleon, and he's and it isn't like these guys get cloned at the age. They get cloned from birth, and they just once they reach a certain age, they snuff out the old one and clone a new one. Yeah. So they have all the experience of ruling from the time they're born to the time they die, and they teach that as they go to the next 2
clones. Yeah, that's crazy.
And they all rule at the same time, and so like when there's a decision to be made, they weigh in on it, it's interesting that because it's like they have the perspective of a 10-year-old looking at the problem, and they've got the perspective of a 65-year-old looking at the problem, and somewhere in the middle too. And so that at those 3 different points in your life, you think and act differently about situations. So it's like it's interesting that they put the 3 of them together to rule. But oh man, they did a fucking great job on the show.
And that's a book that's written in 1950.
Yeah, and this is a guy in 1950 when cloning was probably just being done in like military bases, if anything.
Yeah.
He wrote a book about it. I mean, that's fucking amazing.
Yep.
Way ahead of his time. Hats off Isaac Asimov. Hats off Apple for picking it up.
Well, there's also this common theme in our podcast of especially you and Dan love sci-fi shows and movies.
Yeah.
And how the fuck did these guys who wrote these stories so long ago know all this futuristic technological things that are happening now?
Well, it's like Star Trek. There's a lot of inventions that have been made real that were on the show. And so it's a double-edged sword. All right, so like basically if a human can think of an idea, sooner or later with enough money and technology and research, they can make it real.
Right.
They can bring it from nothing but a idea in their head to a real functioning thing in reality. So it's a double-edged sword. So what happens is that Gene Roddenberry makes Star Trek, and he says, I think there'll be sensors on the doors that they open up when you get there, and that's it. And you just walk. You don't have to open them. You don't have to touch them. Just boop. It's way better for germs. Howie Mandel would love it. 1980s, they have those in the grocery stores. Okay? Now, this gets into some deep shit because did that door get invented because he thought of it and put it on TV?
It's a great question.
Was it a nerd that watched Star Trek and was like, I'm going to make that happen?
Yeah. Totally possible, I think.
And then, okay, fine. The nerd that watched it didn't have the idea, but he had the ability to bring it into practicality, into reality, right? But where does the idea even fucking come from in the first place?
Exactly.
And so, like, the Hindus believe in they call it the Akashic record. And they just simply believe that, like, anything that can exist does exist and will exist. And it's all out there already. Like the bow and arrow, right? We talk about it all the time. The wheel, Those things are inventions that people of any kind of like sense are going to eventually figure out that this is how you do this. This is how you do that. And that's kind of what the show is. The foundation has to like, they have to decide, because like this is the other thing about the show is that they're basically, you talked about it when you brought the show up to me,
right?
But this is like the backdrop of the show is that this giant empire that's thrived for all this time and has colonized all these fucking planets and is so vast is about to just collapse under its weight. Right. It's about to implode, basically. And so these guys and gals, and there's some people on the show that look like they might be extraterrestrial, but they might just be human that like live on a different environment for so long. I don't fucking know. Bottom line is they're trying to figure out like a repository. They're called the encyclopedians, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
They're trying to leave basically a time capsule or an information capsule to rebuild civilization, to jumpstart civilization, essentially, right? Like, and then they've got to figure out, like, well, out of these technologies, which one's the best one? And there's just some really cool shit on the show. I couldn't sit here and talk about everything, but it's like they ask a lot of good questions. But one of them is a lot like that. Like, where do the ideas even come from?
Well, it's interesting, and I don't know this because like I said, I didn't finish the book, but I was developing like a thought that the guy who's the main, who has the predictions, he's the mathematician or whatever.
Harry Seldon.
Harry Seldon.
By Harry Seldon's name.
Like the empire is not about to implode, but because he introduces the idea.
It brings about
catalyst. It's a catalyst, and then the work that they're doing allows them to like slowly start to like his crew to
take
slowly,
power, essentially,
like or make things happen that
their agenda. He's pushing an agenda.
Yeah, he's just gonna So that's just my thought on it. I don't know if that's
an interesting.
What happens,
it's an interesting take.
Yeah. Speaking of making ideas come true.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. I haven't seen the whole thing yet. But, the thing with the show is like they're trying to figure out like what's the basic stuff we can leave behind, and like they can't leave everything. So they're like, what's important? What isn't, you know? And it's like they're all arguing about it.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Like if we knew that Earth was just going to get wiped out, everything on it.
Oh, totally.
But we could leave some information back so that the people
we would do it
that come from behind us won't have to struggle.
Yeah, we would do it.
What would that look like? How fast technology? I mean, technology.
What books are okay to put in there, and what idea?
Oh yeah, that shit. Yeah.
Who says what's good and bad? Who get? It's nuts.
You'd have to put all the books in there.
You can't. They have to pick the ones. They can only put so much. Listen, it brings me back to it ain't easy being cheesy, okay? You think it's easy to run a globe or a galactic empire or anything, dude?
Yeah, I mean,
eventually, critical mass, it's going to just implode.
Right.
It's just nature. That's all it is. The interesting thing with the clones, too, is that, like, this dude is literally a clone of himself.
Yeah.
But because he's raised during different times and by the other Cleons with their influence, like his behavior is like his base code behavior is there genetically, but like because of the outside other variables, he acts just a little different,
Interesting.
And I'm always wondering about the DNA code. Like I was talking about on the way in here, I saw some awesome shit. If you look outside, there is a perfect like Charlotte's Web spider web out there.
I saw it. Yeah.
And that fucking spider constructed it right around a light bulb.
Right.
Because it knows that the things that likes to eat are going to go right after that light bulb for some reason. And when they do, he's got them.
He's got them.
Or she's got them.
Or she's got them.
Now,
she likes it, precious.
Yes. I don't know if this is a true thing, but I got to believe that like reasoning and impulse control and the things that make us like different than, let's say, most of the other animals on the earth have to do with like our large intelligent brains. And I just don't think a spider has a big enough brain to figure out all the stuff it needs to do to make that spider web contraption work. Yeah. And if that's true, then that means that it's 100% being controlled by its DNA, basically. Right?
Yeah. I mean, well, if you think about...
Look at the geometry in it. Look at my bees.
Right.
You telling me those little bees with their 3-week lifespans have amassed enough, information to like teach the next generation? Like teaching a human geometry takes a semester of school. These things live for weeks.
Well,
but they
like
come out of the sack knowing how to do it.
Same with like a sea turtle.
It's
A sea turtle
it's fucked up.
born on a beach and
Yeah, but you
knows that it has to go to the ocean. How the fuck does it know?
Okay.
The mama is gone.
Like 99% of like the shit that organisms do are just based off the pain pleasure response system. But this is different. I'm talking about constructing a trap out of a material that humans can't even replicate. Okay, that it shoots out of its ass. It makes these geometric patterns with a material that it shoots out of glands in its butt, and then it traps bugs and eats them, and it knows to put it near the light. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to put together.
Yeah, but if that's the only thing they know,
I guess
they're like little.
I guess
I'm an engineer, but I only know how to do this.
this is my one trick.
Don't ask me.
I don't know. I'm just
But
saying.
and how many times we don't even know, like, this maybe there's a documentary about this, but like how many times does a spider just make it in a corner and they're like, what the fuck, there's nothing here.
Now I want to talk about it next week, because I want you to watch it this week as like a homework like, type thing. I watch it and I was like, you got to fucking watch this. Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
I think he's Irish, yeah.
Yeah, he's Irish.
Oh, right. I think so. I thought so. He, what I love about him? Pretty much everything. But when he talks, I love these guys from other countries that come here as actors, and they can do American accents perfectly.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what the problem is, because like I just did an Irish accent. And to them it might be a little off, but to us it was pretty fucking on par.
It was pretty
right?
good.
And so like when people come here with an accent or even people that live here that have an accent, I'll be like, do a New England accent. And they're like, I can't. I'm like, why? Just replicate the noises I'm making. They just can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's fucked up. But he does a great American accent. And
Takes practice.
I guess. The movie I want you to check out, and it's a good one. Colin Farrell did it, Voyagers. Okay. And it's with the dude from Ready Player One. His name is Ty Sheridan. And what's his name? Isaac Hampstead, a.k.a. the little Stark kid. Brandon Stark?
Oh, yeah.
From Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
He's on the show. He's on the movie. It was cool to see him in a movie. He's tall as shit, apparently. I think that might have been why they made him in a wheelchair on the show.
Colin Farrell,
I don't know. To hide how tall he was? I don't know.
is Colin Farrell in it a lot?
He's like in the beginning, and then there's like periods where he's in the middle.
Yeah.
But essentially what happens is this they send a ship out into space, and it's going to take 85 years to get to its destination, and they basically know that you can't take a person that's like already lived on the open earth and seen it.
Yeah.
And stick them in a tin can for 85 years and expect them to be okay. So they're like, the only way this is going to work is if we raise these kids in a tin can from day one, and that's the only thing they know. But at the same time, they're trying to teach them to like all the information they need to survive once they touch down on the planet. But they're going to be like 85 by the time they get there. So they're going to have kids and grandkids, and their grandkids will be the kids that show up on the colony, and they have to teach them all these skills and stuff. And so what happens is I don't know. I want you to watch the movie.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss it next week.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Okay.
And we'll get into it.
You gonna pass that on to Danny D? He's got to know.
Danny is, I will let him know that Voyagers with Colin Farrell and Ty Sheridan
His homework
is what he's got to watch.
All right, but let me ask you this. All right, we're going fucking rogue tonight, but that's fine. Mm-hmm. Colin Farrell.
I mean,
I love
been on a pretty good sci-fi.
This guy's
rip.
You and I love this guy's movies. Well, not Colin Farrell, but Guy Ritchie.
I like Guy Ritchie, and Colin Farrell's been in some movies.
And The Gentleman.
I love The Gentleman.
Great movie.
Yeah.
People didn't love it. People are like kind of meh on it, but
I don't know what to tell you.
I loved it, and I love his part in it.
He did a great movie. The coach was fucking awesome. That was his role.
Yeah, the coach is.
I watched it with my kid. She was like, "This looks like my whole life."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Pretty much."
Yeah.
She's like, look at these guys even have the jumpsuits like you, Dad. And I was like, yeah, the coach has got some sweet jumpsuits.
He has amazing jumpsuits.
Oh, yeah. Bugsy Malone plays Ernie. His right hand's fast, but his left hand's sturdy. Maybe the other way around. I don't know. And he's been fighting dirty since he was early. Yeah, Bugsy Malone's like a British hip-hop artist.
Yeah.
Did you just say hip-hop artist, but he happens to be British? Yes. Because the accent,
whatever they call
the accent counts.
Their rap. Oh, there's
what's interesting is that,
shit.
And I don't think we're going rogue tonight, dude. Our show's about sex, drugs, rock and roll, and sci-fi movies. Sci-fi shows, sci-fi,
and sci-fi. I'll add that in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And sci-fi.
We'll add a new recording. Dun dun dun, and then you could be like, and science fiction. Also. It's mostly what we talk about. It should be a sci-fi show.
80%.
Fuck it. Hey, listen, science fiction is important.
It is. Creativity.
The Akashic record thing I was talking about earlier is essentially the same idea as the cloud, okay? Except it's a cloud for consciousness.
It was written.
It was. So the ancient Hindus believe that all knowledge and information and shit just exists, and the human brain sometimes downloads or taps into certain files that it just boop. I got it.
No,
hey man, I just invented something. I just figured this out. Right. Math. It just zips in there. And yeah, you can teach it to other people and give them access to it, but that information is just, it's out there.
Right.
And I don't know, math is the backbone of the whole problem in the show, right? Of the book of Foundation, is that this guy's a mathematician and he's like, math doesn't lie, man.
Yeah.
That's a hard argument. That's a hard argument. You know what was funny on the show, and it's something that we see in real life too, is that like, how many people in the world can understand the math that actually proves that this guy's telling what he's saying? 3? So bring in these other 3 people, and it's like, that's it. These are the people, and even if they say, yeah, we've checked the guy's math, it's true. Nobody else can check it.
Yeah,
it's tough shit.
Most of the people that understand his math are his people. So
yeah, and you know what else is interesting on the show? And I was going to ask if it was in the book. The AI robot girl that takes care of the Cleons as they get older and die. She's like loves them all and raises them all. The AIs have all been wiped out. That's some crazy shit to predict in the 50s.
Yeah, and
we would have artificial robots living with us, and that there'd be a war, and that we would wipe them out.
So in the first book, they don't really get into too much of the kings.
You think they threw that shit in there when they made the show?
Well, I think they're trying to, and maybe it comes in later, but I'm not close to the end of the book. But like, I think maybe that they're merging some of the next book in, where maybe that's where it focuses more on.
Because books could books like a whole book could be like the first 15 minutes of a movie.
Exactly. The first book is not long,
which is why I don't read,
and it skips time. So they probably have to merge a couple of books together to make this fucking work on TV. But people should check it out, book or TV show. I didn't watch the TV show, but
Foundation. And you know what? While you're out there listening to the show, you guys go out there and you watch Voyagers with Colin Farrell. So next week when we talk about it, you'll say, great idea. I see what's going on here. Now, I think I watched it on HBO. It might have been on Amazon Prime.
I think it's on HBO.
I want to say it's HBO. Great fucking movie. We're going to discuss it next week in Book Club, a.k.a. our podcast. And it's kind of getting to be like a little bit of a book club sometimes. You know?
It tends to be a book club.
And that's okay.
But like, I only read books, and I'm terrible at reading books. So there's 3 to 4 people involved here that don't read books. We're a book club.
So it's like a movie review. We're critics of some kind. Okay?
Yeah, right.
We're critiquing something.
And
we're asking questions on occasion, too.
We ask them questions.
We're asking the big questions. Is the Akashic record a thing? You know? Is it a real thing? What I was going to say was that I wanted to tell you some stuff outside earlier, and I was like, I'll save it for the show. My kid's been learning about Buddhism in school,
Yeah.
because I have no idea why. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
She goes to private Catholic school. They teach these kids Catholicism. They've got a fucking church in the building. Even if you're not, what's fucked up is that even if you're not Catholic, they make you attend the services during like school service. I think that's fucked up. I'd be like, give the kids the study hall,
Yeah.
if they're not Catholic, whatever.
And they should.
And I get it. All the kids would be like, yeah, I'm not Catholic. I'm going to study hall. And they'd be sitting there with an empty chapel. But like, guess what? That's all you need to know, that nobody wants to be in. They don't believe in it, man. No one's there.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, to balance that fucking rhetoric, is it rhetoric? To balance that out, they teach the kids other religions for like a month each, right? They'll be like, oh, there's some other religions out there too. Other people is like Hinduism, Buddhism, fucking Shinto, They'll breeze over the major religions of the world. They don't cover like Wiccan and Jedi, you know what I mean? But like, so they're learning Buddhism in school right now.
I only imagine how they're teaching it.
Well, they're covering like literally the basics, but everything that they're talking about, my kid is like on a higher level of understanding of, because I've been like,
because you love that shit. Yeah, you're a Buddhist.
I'm not gonna say I've been force feeding her Buddhism and Hinduism since she was a kid, but I do give her a lot of Buddhist philosophy that helps her get through life. And so she's like telling me today, she's like, Dad, all they've been teaching us all week is like that attachment and desire are the root of all suffering and misery. And I was like, it is. And she's like, this is the same thing you've been telling me my whole life. And I was like, bonus point for me. It's really just Buddha. He came up with the conclusion that like the more shit you want, and when you can't have it, it makes you unhappy. And don't get me wrong, as I told her, I was like, look, I believe that 100%. But at the same time, that unhappy feeling can fuel you to propel you to achieve a goal that maybe you want to get, right? Because it's like desire for what? Like, it's not just material possessions. It's like status. It's relationships. It's people, whatever you want, whatever you desire. I don't. Is it a bigger house? Is it a fucking boyfriend, a girlfriend? Do you want 2 girls, 2 guys? I mean, how much is enough? When's enough is enough? Yeah. So Buddha was just like, nothing. I want nothing. I want nothing, and nothing can make me want it. Yeah. And it's unnatural to want nothing.
Right.
But the more you can like train yourself to want nothing, I think the happier you'll be.
You can really enjoy the stuff you have.
Yeah, you enjoy the stuff you have if you're wired that way. I mean, for me, it works. Other people, it might not. No. But I just liked getting the bonus point on Buddhism from my kid. And I was like, man.
They must be like, oh, and this week we'll talk about Buddhism.
Oh yeah.
It's like just told with a sarcastic.
Well, the funny thing about these Catholic schools is that my kid's been in all right, first of all, I went K through 12 Catholic school. Okay. Yeah. I know what it's all fuck about. Right?
Yeah. You had to break yourself from that.
It didn't have to do anything. It didn't fit. It wasn't for me.
I don't like this.
It wasn't for me, man.
Yeah.
You're talking to a guy that marched. I imagine I would have done this in public school as well, but I marched into Sister Mildred's office, 1987, with a leather wallet, $7 cash, took it out like a fucking boss, like I seen my dad do, threw it down on her desk like I owned the place. Yeah. Said, I'll give you this money right now if you just let me leave. I'll walk home. All right. So
Mildred wasn't having it. She was
it's a. Could I go back in time and redo it in a public school? Do I think I would have wanted to go home? Probably.
Yeah.
And maybe in a public school I would have got away with the bribe, but the sister didn't care. Money wasn't important to her. She cared about values, right? So that's the interesting thing. It's like value.
I don't think
it's subjective.
Wait, let me pause you.
Go ahead. Go.
I don't think $7 would have bought you out of a day of school.
1987?
No, dude.
1987? That's like 3 hours of work for a janitor. I don't know the economics of the 80s. What was the inflation? I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm saying if $7 makes you like, all right, you're 7 years old, you gave me $7. All right, kid, you can walk home today.
Hey, you know what? You're probably right. They were
like,
they were locking that shit down in the 80s because kids were getting kidnapped.
That was the
putting it
early
on
days.
TV.
Yeah.
I think kids have been getting kidnapped forever.
Yeah.
It just got put on TV big in the 80s.
Yeah. Blue van.
White van, blue
White
any van, vans in general.
Vans
any van driving down the street other than the exact A-team van,
Yeah,
you got the fuck away. Or Scooby-Doo. Yeah. Those two vans were probably okay.
Yeah. They were the only ones.
Unless it's a trick and it's not really
Every
just a
single
team. A-team. It's like some guy that's like, oh, I know how I'll get some kids.
Yeah.
I'll make the A-team van and drive around neighborhoods. They'll come right up to it and then I'll snatch them.
Yep.
Horrible. Those people deserve whatever they're getting. Although I will note that I did explain that I was talking to my kid this week about impulses and control and all that other stuff, and that's something that you'll see. You'll see
picture.
Well, you'll see that on Voyagers. It's like they give them a serum. We'll talk about it next week. It's good. It's hard for me not to get into it because I thought there was so much going on in the movie that was like, oh my god, this is great.
But you were talking about that with your kid.
Well, I was just saying that impulses are tough because, when we talk about right and wrong, I do believe that there is right and wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's some sort of moral compass that you follow as a human, but other animals, I think they have some good and evil in there too, or some right and wrong, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
My dog, for example, knows when he's done something wrong, but it's only because I've told him it's wrong.
Right.
He's not born thinking it's right or wrong. Now, when dogs are running around and their dog brains as a pack, and one does something, does the group say, "Oh no, that's right or wrong"?
Yeah,
maybe they do, and
probably.
I don't know. I'm sure there's some social dynamics. But what I'm saying is, when Mother Nature wires you come into this world, you've got these impulses, you want to act on them. That's very natural. So some of these people, these horrible people in the world, like serial killers or rapists, all these other people, they're essentially doing it because they've got an impulse inside them that's like the same that you and I have. Like right now, I'm horny as shit. Like I was at the grocery store and I gave my number to a girl today, and I mean, I'm going for it. I got the pon fars.
You get the pon fars.
Star Trek terms.
Yeah.
I need to fuck somebody.
Yeah.
And or get fucked by somebody or fuck something. Just point at something in the room and I'll fuck it.
Tell me what you want me to fuck.
Tell me what you want me to fuck. That's a MacGruber quote for everybody. Watch that movie too. But yeah, dude, I'm horny right now. And so I'm acting on those impulses. And as that gets elongated, the longer I go without being able to satisfy that itch, it's going to keep getting louder and louder. And so even though there's just terrible things that are being done by these people, I just think on some level you feel bad for them because I don't think anyone would want to be that way,
Yeah.
I think it's basically something that's against their control. And yeah, we like to play God and put things down when we don't think they're good, right? We'll be like, oh, got to put it down. It's no good. But when a dog bites someone, they're like, oh, you got to put it down. Well, of course it bit someone. It's a fucking dog, But we said that behavior is not okay, and we snuff the animal's life out when it does it. So it's it's tough. These are people, not animals, right? And they're acting in a way that we say is not okay, and it isn't. And unfortunately, they're acting that way because they're impulsed to do so, and they only have so much impulse control before they have to do it, So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, and that there's people that with someone who's a serial killer. When were they born a serial killer?
I think so.
Or did shit happen to them?
I think
made
things
them snap.
I think things can happen that make you do that, right? Because that's what I've seen on TV and that's what I've heard about.
Right.
But the more I think about it and the more I see things with my own eyes, I think they're born that way, man.
But
to a certain degree,
how many serial killers are born that just don't ever become serial killers?
Yeah, something might set them off.
Yeah,
right. They might be it might be high risk to become that way if they were exposed to a certain event at a certain age. And that's why when these guys, when these psychology people are trying to cross-reference, they're trying to find some link as to why, just putting serial killers out there, why these people are behaving the way they're behaving. And so they're finding, there's childhood trauma. That's why they're, it's a common link, but I don't think it's the only thing. I think that their DNA is telling them, just like the spider in the fucking is looking at the light and building a web. And that serial killer is just like, yep, I just can't wait to fucking murder somebody right now, and it's like
come from it.
Impulse inside them, and there's just nothing they can do about it, and they just have to act. Because I will say this, I don't know what the abuse kids thing is, but there's definitely a link between like when kids are like little and they kill animals and stuff, that when they grow up that they might be more violent, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
Like something's going on.
But it's part of the profile of a serial killer is if they harmed animals at some point in their life.
Yeah, I just don't know why they're doing it. If it's because their dad was beating the crap out of them all day and shit rolls downhill, or if because they're genetically predisposed to do that. You know what I mean?
I think a lot,
or both.
And I think I was recently having this conversation with someone about, like, I think that I was under the belief that all serial killers, most of their stuff was connected to sex. Like killing, even if it's just killing, but there's something in that killing that makes them,
get off
below their load.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, they're.
But I don't think that's true.
No. I think there's a good percentage of them. It's connected to sex.
To it,
that's one of the only strong impulses I can think of that makes people act crazy. Like,
right.
I mean, just throwing this out there from a guy's perspective, but right now I'm feeling really horny and I need to have sex, right? But as soon as I do, I'm going to be all right. That sensation's going to be gone.
Yeah.
So like whatever I'm willing to do, whatever hoops and obstacles I'm willing to jump through to make that happen. Right now, I'm like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's go get that sex. We should do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But as soon as the sex is over, I'm like, I'm not getting out of this couch. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm not doing anything. Like, I don't want to, I have zero desire to,
right.
To do anything that I don't want to, right? Yeah. There's no more desire to jump through hoops or do obstacle courses or put on little dance. I mean, most mammals and organisms in the natural world have to do something to attract the other sex.
Yeah.
That's how it works, man. Yeah. I don't make the rules, right?
And we're what it is.
We're all wired into it. So all I'm telling you is that impulse, that I think it's sexual in nature.
Just a lot of it is.
I think you're correct.
But then there's there's serial killers who will fucking, cut someone's head off and have sex with it. But then there's people that are like, financial people that are so like almost serial killer like with other people's fucking money.
Oh, I mean,
they don't care what they do to other people just to get money for.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of different.
That's essentially
just called being a piece of shit for
you're
money.
Not killing someone, but like you're doing the same thing. You don't give a fuck at all about.
We could have a whole podcast on the evils of what people do to get money.
Right, and once you get to that level and you have so much money and you're taking care of all those impulses to like fuck things and like also like get fucked by things, but then like fuck, and then you fuck so many things that you're like, oh, this isn't working anymore. I need to fuck something else, and then I need to get weirder.
You need more.
I need to do sex tourism.
You need more.
Around the world. Then I need to leave this planet to do sex tourism.
Delicious. I'll take two
sudden,
tickets.
Well,
well, people may be like, oh, these guys are high and they're all over the place, but turns out we're not. And our thoughts are in a very geometrical pattern, organized and all entangled together, much like the spider web outside.
Right. We're spraying it out of our butts too.
No. And I'm telling you right now that all the things you're talking about, they circle full back to if people were taught more Buddhism from day one, that they just don't need anything and don't want anything and don't need more, there'd be less of that stuff.
Yeah, probably.
They would be. The Buddha is it's a lot of he boiled it all down to just that.
Yeah.
It's like everything,
because he was born a king or a prince, right?
Yeah. I like.
Is that the Cambodian? That's the Cambodian Buddha.
No, the real Buddha comes from
India.
Well, it's like a certain section of India that's kind of like more close to Asia, I believe.
Yeah. Bangladesh or
He was basically kept in isolation and only not allowed to see any of the horrors of the world, basically. Yeah. Nothing ugly or gross.
He saw his kingdom.
Just everything good.
Yeah.
And then when he was subjected to like the real world, it horrified him and he couldn't cope with it and wanted to figure out why all these things were going on. And that's what he boiled it down to, man. Just
gave it all up.
Just stop going after all this stuff and warring. And see, I don't agree with a lot of the teachings of Catholicism. It's not that I'm against what they're talking about. It's just that I think the church has just polluted that religion so that the organization of the Catholic Church and many of the other churches that have spawned off of it have polluted the religion so much and turned it into a vehicle for control and money and power, which is all just the same thing, quantified differently. They want to run things, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's what Jesus of Nazareth wanted. I like to think of him walking around with some sandals and shaking hands and being like, "Hey, how you doing, man? What's up? What's up?
You guys want some wine? I'll just turn this water into it."
What I think Jesus of Nazareth looked like, and it's hilarious, acted like, and it's hilarious that they actually did this in the movie. There's a movie with Will Ferrell, one of my favorite comedians, and Molly Shannon called Superstar.
Yeah.
And she's got a crush on Will Ferrell's character in high school. So when Jesus appears to her, he appears as the kid. And she's like, "Is this what you look like?" And he's like, "No, this is just what I think you want me to look like. So this is what I'm looking like right now." But the way that dude walks around the high school, he's like shaking hands with everybody, giving high fives, giving thumbs up, saying, "Hey man, what's up?" He knows just a little something about everyone. He's like the ultimate politician in the school, but he's not trying to be. He just is. He's a man of the people. That's how I imagine Jesus. And then they took it and they turned it into whatever the hell, the Crusades and all the other shit that's gone on. You know, God wants you to give me a blowjob right now.
Right.
Trust me, I'm a priest. This is what God wants.
You don't want to be a sinner, don't you?
Yeah, it's been flushed down the toilet and dragged through the mud a little bit more than I think.
That's as Catholic. That, like you said, like the shit that spawned from it, the other Christian religions. Like
I think that religions do that in general.
Yeah.
I just feel like Buddhism does it the least.
Right, Buddhism does it too, but like in a different.
There's been a million, right?
Yeah.
I just want to be fair and objective. There's been a million fucking Buddhist
diddlers,
guys out there that I don't know if they're diddlers, but like guys, girls, whatever, leaders, people that rose to, notoriety in a group that had, the flock or. Yeah. However you want to define it, a following, a cult, whatever. I mean, most of the major sects offshoots of Buddhism were those types of people, but there's been tons of them that didn't make it, but they made it for like 10 years, right? There's been plenty of charlatans in Buddhism is what I'm saying, using the religion for control or power or acceptance, whatever. It's all the same stuff. But, all right, so next week we're going to talk about that movie. Hopefully Dan D is back in the equation. Him and Kingsley promised us a mushroom recantation, although the longer we go. I don't know. I think I remember most of my vivid trips pretty well, like just as well as I remember a real memory.
But it is true, the longer you move away from it, it's going
to fade, baby.
You're going to fade.
It's physics.
Yeah.
Anything else for this week, Macka?
Let me just say this. I think anyone who has similar musical tastes to me, which are very widely all over the place, try checking out some fucking 90s and early 2000s R&B.
Like Keith Sweat?
Keith Sweat.
Did I just nail one?
You nailed one specifically. Very specifically.
Nobody, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like those songs, I used to fucking... I used to hate those songs.
That's baby making music, though.
I used to hate those songs, but because like back then, all you had was the radio, so you'd have to hear them. And now now I'm like, I know all the words to them. I'm like, why do I know all the words to this? I hate this song, but now I love it. But like, let me just throw out some names: Mary J. Blige, Aaliyah, Tony Tone, SWV,
fuck yeah.
DeBarge. Remember that shit?
Okay, that is,
That might be the early.
I should go, but it's pretty
so
upbeat and good.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, okay, this guy, I get it.
Faith Evans, Total. Brandy, I mean,
just basically 80s.
Monica, Jodeci, Black.
Oh, Monica.
Yeah.
She was like 14, and I was like, she came out when we were like 14.
Yeah.
So she was like, we had never seen anything like that before.
No, we didn't know. We didn't know we didn't know what was what.
Man, I'll tell you what.
But that's
again, I'm a citizen.
Get into it.
I'm a citizen of the cosmos, and I don't even define myself as human. I'm just alive in a sea of other living things.
Yeah.
But man, when Monica came out, white kids from the suburbs everywhere realized pretty fucking quick that they wanted to do it with a black chick. I'm just telling you. If they didn't already know that from Salt and Pepper.
Yeah.
Because those were women.
I think those were women.
Those were women. Capital W, capital O, like the whole word. Just the caps.
Those were
Salt and Pepper. Women. You know, a song that doesn't really jive. Well, see, DeBarge doesn't really go with the rest of those people.
No, it doesn't, because they're like on the early side of it. This is really one song.
He's way more 80s, and they were like breaking into a whole nother thing.
Yeah. But it's just one song, really. That's
a song that
it's called I Like It.
Jermaine Stewart is the guy's name, I want to say.
Yeah.
He sings, "We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time."
Yeah.
That is contrary to everything I believe, but it's a great fucking tune.
Right.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, every once in a while you can say something that's not true or that you don't believe in, but if you sing it right with the right key, you're like, yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah,
I could sing that jam.
Yeah, you sing it. It's a great tune. You may not believe in it, or you may believe in it for a little while.
Yeah.
Like, that may happen first, and then you take your clothes off.
Who knows? But yeah, wait a second. Time out. Stop the presses.
Yeah.
Are you telling me right now that you think Jermaine Stewart's "We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time" is a gypsy switch, and that he's trying to be like, nah, we don't have to do that?
Yeah. 100%. It's like, we don't have to do that tonight.
If you listen to the lyrics, it's funny because he's like, we could just dance and party all night and drink some cherry wine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's like, let's just get cocked. We don't have to get naked.
Duh, we don't do that.
It's kind of counterintuitive because it's like, if the girl's already getting naked, why stop the process? But at the same time, things could be even hotter if you chill out a little bit, get to know each other, and spark up. I don't know what the cherry wine, but go with like maybe what's fashionable to drink with a girl, like
I don't know.
whatever you want to fucking drink. I don't. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening in. We will be back next week. Until then, get somebody's sushi off.